right. I just wanted to do a little review, I guess. Not a review, but just a talk of how things have gone so far with this series and where I am at with it and kind of my experience so far. If you have watched this, if you're watching this video, likely you've seen kind of how things have gone for me in real time. Sometimes very positive, and sometimes like I'm lost with some things, and I can feel very negative about the series when I am not understanding something, or I feel things are just, it's hard to grasp, or there's just too many things or too many people to juggle. The most important thing about how I feel about this series is I do really love it, and I do find that there is so much to gather from it, and I can't wait to do a reread. So any saltiness that might come out of the rest of this video, because there will be some, just know that original statement trumps whatever saltiness will come out, because and some of this saltiness isn't necessarily directed at the series or the author or anything like that, but more towards just sometimes my own inadequacies as a reader. And I have found out so much about myself and the type of reader I am through reading this. I've never done anything epic like this at all. Most of the stuff I read are standalones. Like I read mostly classics or standalone sci-fi. Some of my favorite books of all time will have really a deep discussion about one character. Like Frankenstein is one of my favorite books of all time. Moby Dick, which I also have featured up there, has more than one character. But really, for a lot of it, we are seeing things through the viewpoint of Ishmael. Count of Monte Cristo, I know, isn't about one character specifically. It has more than one cast, but bigger characters, things like Project Hail Mary or The Martian. Some of my favorite movies of all time will have a very limited cast, and it's about kind of the goings-on of one character. I tend to like the granular more than I love maybe some of the macro. So it's been tricky for me as someone who hasn't read, I didn't read Game of Thrones, and I didn't read Wheel of Time, and I've only read 2 of the Stormlight archives. Like that really isn't, it isn't something that I do much. Usually I have gravitated towards standalones or things like Dune, where it's like everyone reads the first one and not everyone goes on in the series. So there's that. And I kind of expected that it would always keep throwing this big cast of characters at me. And I've been open to that, and sometimes I've been glad about that, and sometimes not. It's even happened a bit in this last book, where in the last sub-book here, we got the Leosin breaking through, and I've been waiting to see them, and they are just as cheerful and wonderful as I thought they would be. I am definitely Team Leosin in this battle, especially considering I don't super care about the people at the shore, even though I love the idea of the shore. But I'm a little salty that Yedan Derrig can kill a Forkrul Assail, where a Forkrul Assail also beat the crap out of Karsa and his 2 buddies. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm a little salty. I'm a little salty that we haven't gotten more Namander, considering the role that he just took on. I'm sure that he'll come back for this final push. Namander has a major role, I feel, sitting in Animander. He's standing in his shoes right now. Man, I love Toll the Hounds. So good. I thought we would get way more Ganos. I thought we would get some more Quick Ben and stuff. I'm glad we get Tool, and I'm glad we get Talk, and I'm glad we get this focus on what Tavor is doing. Thank goodness for that. But I still feel like in my mind, we are still going so many places that I just don't see how this is going to wrap up in a way that I am going to feel connected with. There are so many things I want wrapped up. And when we were getting to, the midway point of the series, and I was thinking, okay, where are we going to go with this? I thought I would feel a little more direction at this point than I do right now. I mean, I understand kind of, I understand kind of the dilemma, or not, maybe not even that, the focus that we are going into. I don't understand all of the players and what they want to have happen to happen in the end here. I know Tavor has something that she wants to have happen. It feels like Fiddler is kind of in that boat. Ganos is tricky because I feel like he's betting on what Tavor is going to do, but I don't know if he's betting on, he wants the same thing necessarily as Tavor. Or that he's just hoping that she will go down that road. And Shadow Throne seems to be in line with what Ganos wants. And Cotillion, it's tricky because he was up to something at the start here. Has to do with the Elaint and so there are just a lot of moving pieces. There are these old elder gods. And Mael seems a little bit different than the other ones. He has kind of a different perspective, it seems like. And Corral and Draconis now coming out, and Silchus. And I just have no idea how this is going to wrap up. And I maybe thought I would understand a little more the intentions of everybody. And I think a lot of that is on me. And I think a lot of that will be fixed in the reread. But I wish I was a little bit further along in that regard for the plot. I've really connected with some of the deep things that have happened in this series. Like everything around Harlow. How can you not pull stuff out of Harlow's storyline? Holy smokes, that was just... It was such a special, I love Toll the Hound so much. And I love Capistan so much. There are some, and Egatan. But those are pockets of things that spoke to me. And when we are moving around with all of these characters, it's hard. It's hard for me to focus on all of that. More than anything, Toll the Hounds felt like such a great wrap up of so many storylines, and I just hope that we get to the end of the Crippled God, and I feel some of that same feeling about where we've wrapped up some of this. I am so excited to get to some of the side series. I don't know if you call them side series because they're all canonized, but I hope that some of those are maybe a little bit more focused on things instead of this greater picture. I think in a lot of ways, I might even like some of the side things if that's the case. Knight of Knives was a little bit more of a weaker entry, I think, but at least it was very focused, and I like that. And I hope that I hope that it goes down that road, and again, I can't wait for the reread where I think some of my saltiness will go by the wayside or whatever. But yeah, I'm getting to the end of the Crippled God here, and there have been I don't love the people in the Crippled God that are still around. Like the Bolcondo stuff is kind of interesting. Falash. is super interesting. I do love Hood. The stuff with Twilight or the Shore is interesting, but I'm not super interested in the people that are around there. I'm interested in the snake, but it's still not like I just want Mappo. I just want Quick Ben. I just want Namander and the Bridge Burners to be back. I don't want, Bryce is a big bummer right now, and his girlfriend. So it's just showcasing a lot of these groups that every time leading up to Dust of Dreams, almost every time we would jump to somewhere, I would be excited to get more of that person, except for when we would get to like Blistig and Kindly and like that. I just didn't connect with. I just haven't connected with them. But most of the people, like every time we get to Mappo, or every time we get to Calor, or every time we get to Ganos, or Torvald, Nom, like there are certain people that every time we would get to them, I would get excited. Every time we would get to Spinnick or the Seer Domin, I would get excited. But in Dust of Dreams and the Crippled God, that has not been my experience. Like every time we get to some of these people that are being showcased in these last two books, I just don't connect with them. And it's sad because we're 10 books in, and you'd think I would, but I think again that'll be hopefully fixed on a reread. But you only get your first read once, so I'm hoping that something will bring me in. And there have been flash moments where we get what's his face, Beak. Like think of what that did in my mind and in my heart with how I feel with the Bone Hunters. That was a big boost for them, and they do have these moments. Like I loved the fingers, the bone finger thing in House of Chains. I really loved that, but I haven't loved them in the same way quite so much through the rest of the books, which is too bad because they are like a core group that are bringing us along. But it's like I'm reading Fellowship of the Rings, and I just can't stand every time we get to Frodo and Sam, in a way. So anyway, that's my saltiness with it, but I have really loved it, and I can't wait to go into these different scenes and go into specifics about some of these characters, because those are the things that have spoken to me. But some of the epicness, because this is my first time, and I'm going into what people call like the most complex fan. Like, look what I did to myself. So, I get what I ask for in that regard a little bit, but I am so grateful to you guys for sticking with this. And you guys have awesome comments. Like you guys understand this. You understand this in the way that I am hoping for, and I haven't got any saltiness my way for missing out on plot, which has been freaking awesome. Like when I've said names wrong and I've been totally wrong about stuff, it's people just kind of smile and nod. But when it has come to the stuff that has really connected me to the series, I'm so grateful that I can put that out there and see that it also is resonating with you guys. So I know that in that regard, I'm not like out to lunch with this series, even despite the things that I'm not connecting with. But I can't wait to get through this again and post some updated thoughts for some of this kind of stuff as I go through the side series and also go through the main series again. And if you are watching this in months or a couple years or whatever, and you have followed along, then keep commenting on, comment on videos you see. And I've been so grateful to see, I'm right now in someone's, I can see when people are, right now there's some people reading Memories of Ice that are commenting occasionally, and someone and Toll the Hounds. And I'm just so grateful that even if you're not seeing this at the same time, but you have come along in the journey watching my videos up to this point, know that I have really appreciated you guys, and I've really appreciated this author, despite some of the differences I have in some of the philosophical things that I think he's trying to, like some of the things that really connect others to this series, and I think some of the things that he really tries to push are not necessarily things that resonate with me as much. But that also speaks to some of the greatness of this series, that there's just so much that you could connect with. So anyway, I don't want to ramble too much. I'm going to get into subbook 5 now. And look at that. This is subbook 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then this big block. I think there's 3 more subbooks. So technically we're past halfway in the subbook count, but we are not even halfway. Like, we are on page 383 of this edition, and it ends with 911 pages or something. So, man, I just can't wait to see where it goes, despite my saltiness for my own just frustrations for some things that I thought we would get more. Like when the bridge burners died off in Memories of Ice and they started being all shiny and fancy, I thought, oh, they'll be back. They'll probably be back in some way. That's what that means. Or we'll get some kind of and they have technically sort of been back, but not in the way that I wanted them to be back. They better freaking have a Helm's Deep moment at the end here, or we might have a problem. So anyway, I will talk to you guys on the next one, whenever that's going to be. And I really, again, I've loved doing this with you guys, and I've loved that I could be totally transparent and honest about where I was in this series. And yeah. Also, I have all these freaking skit ideas and little stupid videos planned that I've wanted to do, but I've just been so freaking busy. But when I'm done the series, I feel like I'll be able to maybe do some of those silly little things. But I do want to make sure I get a press conference in before we get to the climax here, because the other doppelganger, Dan, is out there, and we haven't really seen him since the end of Toll the Hounds, and he's been up to some stuff. So he found something. Anyway, I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.